The 2026 Audi A4 doesn't shout about comfort. It sort of sneaks up on you. You open the door, slide in, and there's this subtle, "oh, this feels right" moment that defines the entire experience from the second you sit down. The seats are noticeably slimmer than previous generations, yet the cushioning feels deeper and far more supportive for long-distance travel. The steering wheel has that perfect thickness, not a single millimeter more than necessary for a confident, tactile grip. Even the air vents have been redesigned to disappear into a single, elegant, horizontal line, so your eyes can finally rest, instead of constantly jumping between various knobs, buttons, and plastic textures. Then you notice how remarkably quiet it is when you close the heavy door. Traffic noise drops a level instantly. The new acoustic glass and improved door seals turn the cabin into a soft, protective bubble. It is not total, eerie silence, but rather a comfortable hush that allows for easy conversation or a quiet moment of reflection before the day starts. You hear the faint, high-tech hum of the mild hybrid system waking up, and the seat's side bolsters give a tiny, reassuring squeeze to hold you in place. It feels less like starting a mechanical car and more like taking your rightful spot on a premium moving sofa. On the ring road around a busy, crowded European city, that comfort suddenly becomes real life rather than just some brochure copy. Picture a 45-minute commute in patchy, frustrating stop-and-go traffic. In the old days, that meant stiff shoulders and a buzzing, tired mind by the time you arrived at the office. In the 2026 Audi A4, the adaptive seats subtly adjust their internal pressure points over the duration of the drive, keeping your lower back from turning into a painful knot. The multi-zone climate control quietly adapts to sun on the left and rain on the right, ensuring everyone inside stays perfectly regulated without you ever having to touch a dial or look away from the road ahead. You glance at the virtual cockpit to find clean, high-resolution graphics and absolutely no visual clutter. The car has learned your daily routine and suggests a podcast you usually pick on Thursdays. The ambient light shifts tone as the sky darkens, not in a flashy or gimmicky way, but in a way that stops your eyes from getting tired after a long shift. On a long stretch of highway, the new active lane keeping and adaptive cruise systems take over the boring parts of driving. Your heart rate drops a notch. You are still in control, but the car is clearly helping you carry the load. From a technical point of view, none of this is science fiction. It is a sum of small, deliberate choices made by engineers who care about the details. The 2026 Audi A4 uses a new platform with smarter insulation layers, which cuts vibrations and road rumble before they ever reach the cabin floor. The mild hybrid system fills in torque at low revs, so the engine doesn't need to scream every time you join a fast lane. The chassis tuning focuses on what Audi calls relaxed precision, firm enough for tight curves, yet tuned to filter the tiny imperfections that make city streets so exhausting for the average driver. The result is a car that doesn't just look premium. It behaves like it understands modern fatigue. Comfort isn't only about expensive leather and silence. It is the way the car anticipates where daily life rubs you raw early meetings, school runs, or late returns and sands off the sharp edges. That is the quiet revolution the 2026 Audi A4 is playing at. There is a small shift many drivers are going through right now, bragging less about 0 to 100 kilometers per hour and caring more about how often they need to stop at a pump or a charger. The 2026 Audi A4 leans into that new reality. The engine lineup mixes frugal turbo petrol and diesel options with mild hybrid setups. plus a plug-in hybrid for those who split life between city streets and highway marathons. The tech doesn't scream eco at you. You notice it when the engine cuts out early, the car coasting gently while energy trickles back into the battery. You feel it when the start-stop system doesn't jar you awake at every traffic light. Audi has polished the rough edges that made older fuel-saving features so annoying. Efficiency becomes something you sense in the fluid way the car moves, not in blinking eco badges on the dash. On a long weekend run, say, 350 kilometers of mixed roads, the numbers start to tell the story. Many current A4 drivers already see real-world averages around 6 to 7 liters per 100 kilometers with careful driving. With the 2026 generation, early internal targets point toward even lower practical figures, especially on the hybrid versions. Some plug-in owners are expected to cover whole work weeks on mostly electric power, only sipping fuel on longer trips. But the more interesting part is how the car helps you get there without turning you into a hypermiling obsessive. The navigation system factors elevation, traffic, and your personal driving style to suggest the most efficient route that is still realistic. A subtle coaching display in the cluster highlights moments where you could coast earlier or accelerate more smoothly without making you feel like a bad student. And yes, the car will remember if you actually follow its advice. The logic behind all this is simple. People want to cut costs and emissions, but not at the price of feeling micromanaged. Audi's designers openly talk about invisible efficiency, tech that works in the background, not shouting in your face. The 2026 Audi A4's software recognizes patterns. Your favorite petrol stations, usual charging stops, and typical weekend destinations. Over weeks, it quietly optimizes energy use around that rhythm. Nobody is going to manually fine-tune every journey like an airline pilot planning a transatlantic flight. So the car takes on the boring calculations. Your job becomes weirdly simple. Drive in a way that feels natural, and watch the range slowly stretch. It is not magic, just well-used data and some respectful restraint from the algorithms. If you walk past the 2026 Audi A4 on the street, you might first think that it looks incredibly clean. The overall shape stays true to the A4 story, balanced and almost timeless, but the details push it firmly into the late 20s. The single-frame grille is slimmer and more restrained, with sharper LED signatures front and rear that look like they were drawn in one confident movement. The body lines are taut, less decorative, and more sculpted by airflow than a designer's pen. What changes the mood are the proportions and the light. The car sits a touch lower and wider in stance, with wheels that fill the arches in a way that feels quietly athletic. New color palettes mix soft grays and blues with bolder, almost satin finishes. At night, dynamic light sequences greet you as you approach, not in a flashy nightclub way, but like a discreet handshake. It is a sedan that wants to look modern without chasing every passing trend on social media. Inside, the living room, not cockpit, idea really lands. The dashboard wraps around the driver and passenger like a low horizontal wing. Screens are integrated, not slapped on. Materials mix recycled textiles, open-pore wood, and soft-touch plastics that don't pretend to be something they are not. Customizable ambient lighting sets a gentle glow along the doors and dash, with colors that reflect your chosen drive mode or your own mood. Touch points feel reassuring. Knurled metal on volume knobs and a subtle click on steering wheel buttons. Wireless CarPlay and Android Auto take over in seconds. And the voice assistant has finally grown out of its awkward teenager phase. You talk to it like you talk to your phone, and it usually gets it right on the first try. Somewhere between a long day at work and a late grocery run, that digital layer starts feeling less like a gadget and more like a quiet co-pilot. Over time, it knows which seat setting you are likely to want on Monday mornings, what playlist you prefer on Friday nights, and which parking cameras you trust the most in your tight driveway. One Audi interior designer summed it up in a line that really stuck with me. Our goal with the 2026 A4 wasn't to make a tech showpiece. It was to make a car that feels smarter than you expect, but never smarter than you. That mindset bleeds into all the small, big details you live with daily. Door pockets that finally fit real water bottles, a head-up display you can actually read in bright sun, and USB-C ports where rear passengers actually sit, not hidden under plastic covers. On a practical level, these tweaks are tiny. On an emotional level, they are the difference between a car you tolerate and a car you grow attached to without even noticing. Look around any crowded city street, and sedans are supposedly out. Crossovers are everywhere, but the 2026 Audi A4 makes a quiet argument for the classic three-box shape. A lower center of gravity, better aerodynamics, and an understated elegance that doesn't need roof rails to justify itself. There is something almost rebellious about choosing a sedan now, especially one that focuses on comfort, efficiency, and tech without shouting. It is like opting for good headphones. In a world obsessed with massive speakers, you are not trying to dominate the road. You are trying to make your personal hours inside that moving metal shell genuinely better. We've all lived that moment where you step into a friend's newer car and think, oh, this is what mine is missing. Not the badge, but the calm. The 2026 Audi A4 is aimed exactly at that gap, the space between what your current car does well enough and what modern life actually needs. Less friction and more quiet help. That is where this new A4 could quietly win people over, one commute at a time.